What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Double D Report. Me and Dean are back after a long hiatus. Very long hiatus. We're a small YouTube channel, went on hiatus. Very stupid during the wrong time, but we did it. We're back and we're going to be better than ever. But this week, me and Dean are going to be talking about the NHL, the NBA, and then etc. Whatever the fuck we want to talk about after that. Dean, what would you like to start out first? Your one of your favorite sports or the sport that hates you?
No, we could start off with the sport that hates me. I'm okay with that.
Okay. So, in the sports, and correct me if I'm wrong, the sports that hate you is the NBA.
To be fair, as a New York fan, pretty much every sport hates me. But yes, the NBA, I think, hates the Knicks just a little bit more than the other sports.
And, by the way, rest in peace, New York Knicks.
Fuck off. Continue.
In the NBA Finals, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Indiana Pacers. By the way, no one was fucking expecting this. I wasn't expecting this. I didn't think the Pacers were going to make it out of the second round. I knew they were beating the Bucks, but Haliburton, Siakam, Miles Turner, Shepard, Nesmith, their whole team is playing very well, and they're being coached very well. But they're going against a powerhouse in the Thunder. They took game one, Indiana, but then the Thunder said, fuck you, I own you, and then stomped on their throat in game two.
Correct.
So this series, I hope it will be close. I hope it's going to be like a Nuggets series because the Nuggets did take game one against them. So maybe it will be like a game seven. It'll be nice to have a game seven finals. But the Thunder will most likely win, unfortunately, even though I hate the Thunder with every fiber of my being.
This is definitely a series that Adam Silver did not want to happen, right? I mean, Oklahoma City against Indiana in the NBA Finals, that could be the ugliest finals matchup, maybe, of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Two small market teams really building for the most part throughout the draft. Indiana's a little different. They've done quite a lot of trades over the course of the last few years, getting Haliburton from the Kings, getting Siakam from the Toronto Raptors. So they've done a lot of their homework, trading away picks and trying to get as many pieces as possible. Whereas OKC did, for the most part, go the draft pick route, right? Williams, SGA, who just became MVP. Their only real they did trade for Caruso, but their only real signing has been Hartenstein, who has done very well for them. Not to mention, they also drafted Chet. So, two teams that have pretty much built it from the ground up. Both teams were in the shitter 4 or 5 years ago, and they've built it up fully through the draft and trade. So you got to give them props with that. It's definitely something different. No LA, no Boston, no Tatum, no LeBron, no Curry. This is pretty much a new era of NBA basketball players.
Young
Youth. Yep, correct. So while it's not the most sexy matchup, it's at least good to see that there's some parity in the NBA. However, yes, Adam Silver probably does want to kill himself just because of how bad the ratings are going to be. I'm pretty sure, from what I read, that game one was the lowest rated NBA Finals game in the last 20 years so far. I don't expect that to get any better. I know Derek already said that he hopes this goes to a game 6 or 7. I don't see it happening. Personally, I thought the Pacers got absolutely lucky game one, how they usually do. That patented comeback where OKC kind of took their foot off the gas pedal a little bit. OKC showed their true colors game 2. They are the far better team than the Pacers. I'm not going to lie, personally, I think this is going to be the next 3 games. It's going to be a reverse sweep. That's just my opinion. I don't see Indiana putting up any sort of a fight. There may be like a 5-point game in there.
The only reason why I'm saying this is because Haliburton has seemingly got lucky in, like, for example, he's hit clutch shots. He is we're seeing he's very clutch. He hit a bunch of clutch shots against the Knicks. He hit a big clutch shot in game 1, the fading 3, which was a contested shot in coverage on their bench. And you could just see from like the bet, everyone was just shocked because no one was expecting that shot to go in. He pretty much tossed that shit up. And let's just say this, if the Pacers are able to keep it close with them, I think they have a very good chance of beating them purely based off of, I know this might be crazy for me to say, but there's one factor that this team has that the Thunder doesn't is championship DNA. Pascal Siakam was here in 2019. He played against one of the best teams in the league.
I understand what you're saying, right? But he also had Kawhi Leonard on that team. He also had OG Anunoby on that team. He also had Kyle Lowry on that team. I mean, very different dynamics. And I'm not taking anything away from Siakam, but who's his supporting cast, right? It's really Haliburton, Miles Turner, Andrew Nembhard. Yeah, Aaron Nesmith, Obi Toppin, like very different teams, very different aspects. And I give the Pacers a lot of props, right? They went through a tough East, right? They beat Milwaukee with Giannis, which everybody kind of expected them to. Giannis was pretty much the entire team. They beat the number 1 seeded Cavs, and then they handled the New York Knicks to go on to the finals, right? So they played well throughout the East, but they're they're playing a monster now, right? OKC was by far the best team in the NBA this year. Hands down, undisputed, nobody questioned it. And it shows, just based on how they've gauntleted through the playoffs. Their only real challenge was Denver, who, to your point, Derek, had a ton of championship DNA and gave them everything they could and still fell short.
I think this series, this is how I see it. It's either going to be a blowout for OKC or a Game 7 win for OKC. I don't see many scenarios to where the Pacers win the series. I either see them taking the Thunder taking it in 6 or a reverse sweep.
I agree. I don't see any way the Pacers win this series. They just don't match up. They are one of the best offensive teams in the league, Indiana is. But on the flip side, OKC is one of the best defensive teams in the league, and they're showing it, right? Even the first game, when the Pacers came back and won, they still showed why they're one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. They just kind of fell short on the offensive side of the ball. So I don't expect them to make that mistake again. Obviously joking here, but I do expect Isaiah Hartenstein to win Finals MVP just because of how sexy he is. You can obviously pass that up. That was a joke. However, I will be rooting for my little Isaiah Hartenstein because I love him.
He was a former Knick, which is last season.
He was a very good Knick.
He got paid, but I believe it was like 3 years, 55.
That's the only reason why he left. Because the Thunder offered him something no other team was willing to even come close to.
Yeah, because how they saw it was they have Chet, they have a skinny motherfucker, they need a big man down there.
It's working. Yeah. Right? Pretty effective.
Very effective.
They succeeded in that front, not to mention, a bunch of their other players who have just performed outstandingly well. So they're a very good team, and I think they deserve to win, if I'm being honest.
I hate the Thunder. I don't know why. It might just be the fans that I hate. The Thunder fans, because they're fucking annoying. Because they say, we have all these picks and shit. It's starting to piss me off. But they are a very good young team, and it is impressive. Shai, who pretty much, he was there from, I would say, ground zero from the rebuild. And then now he's pretty much the leader of the team, and now potentially he will win MVP and Finals MVP, which is huge.
Yeah, no, 100% correct. And the two people that were there was obviously SGA and then Luguentz Dort. A lot of people forget about, who has definitely come into his own as an offensive player, but we always knew he was one of the best defensive players in the NBA. So it's been tremendous to watch. The scary part about it is, right, they're most likely going to win this series. They're most likely going to win their first NBA championship. The scary part is they're not going anywhere. All of these kids are truly kids. And I don't see OKC letting them go. Definitely not SGA. They will open up the bank for SGA, and that's really all you need. As long as you have one MVP caliber player, you can build a team around him.
Yeah. And it's so crazy to me is that last year they had Josh Giddey, and they got rid of him. I forgot who was involved in that trade. Even though Giddey was a very good player. He was a very good triple-double player, in my opinion.
But Giddey had his issues.
Which we won't speak about now. But
Giddey was very giddy for the young folk.
All right. But yeah, he got traded the season after they lost to Mavericks. Then boom, now they're in the championship. Congrats to them. But there's one thing I do want to talk about in the NBA, and it's starting to piss me off. I don't get me wrong, SGA is a great player. But if I see this motherfucker go to the line 14 fucking times a game, I'm going to break a TV. That shit is so aggravating. So aggravating.
He plays his own brand of basketball, and he plays within the rules, right? He's not doing anything wrong. I do think the NBA may tweak the foul calls a little bit, right? Just so you don't flop and get all these mid-range foul calls. But when you look at the players around the NBA who do this, SGA and Brunson are two of the best players who know how to manipulate defenders in order to get them in the air and to get onto the line. It's not a sexy brand of basketball. It's not enjoyable basketball to watch, right? If you're a fan, especially in the NBA Finals, do you really want to see a guy go to the line 10, 15 times a game? Absolutely not. I get it. However, it's effective, and he does it at an elite level. So you can hate it all you want, but until the NBA does something to maybe counteract it or prevent it from happening in the future, you can play on, man.
Oh no, it's worse than this. Fucking the tush push of this. It's getting.
See, I think this is worse only because
I'm an Eagles fan. And I'm saying this.
It's so tough because both plays. That's a great question, actually. Both plays are preventable.
Yeah.
Teams just haven't found out how to stop the tush push, or vice versa. The Eagles are just that much better than every other team, and they perfected it. On the flip side, SGA. All players have to do is stop jumping in the air, and the foul calls will disappear. But it's easier said than done, right? Because if you don't jump in the air, he's just going to have an easy mid-range jumper.
Or he's leaning into you.
It's so difficult. Same thing with the NFL, right? If a team figures out how to stop the tush push, the Eagles are going to find some alternative where they pitch it back to Barkley, and he's just going to do a little wraparound sweep. And it's going to be...
Which they've done that before.
Exactly, right? So there's definitely ways to combat this. That's a good question. I like the comparison there just because it's annoying to watch. But hey, look, man, if you do it effectively and it's within the rules of the game, you do you.
All right, this is how I see it. Is obviously Brunson does it. SGA does it. A bunch of other... LeBron does it. He was pretty much the master of doing it before everyone else. He started this shit. He started flopping. He started all that shit. The thing that's just aggravating me, and I wouldn't say it's more on SGA. I feel like it's more on the refs now, is they're giving him, like, I'm watching, like, the games, like, I'm watching the games live, and I'm watching, like, videos of it, and I'm rewinding it, seeing these fouls. Sometimes he's not even getting touched, and he's getting a foul call. Maybe, I understand the landing zone, you have to be not in the landing zone, which is completely makes sense. You don't want to snap their ankle. But then there's times to where he's going to the paint, he's elbowing it to them, and then fading back, and he's getting the foul.
That's where the NBA may tweak it a little bit, right? If you initiate the contact as an offensive player, should it be called a foul? It's like this is the debate that's going to go on this offseason, or at least try to tweak the foul call. And if that does happen, it's going to change the dynamic completely because these star players that are up and coming in the league, like SGA and Brunson, they're going to start getting more offensive fouls. So they're going to have to adjust their game. But alas, that is an offseason problem.
Yeah, it is off-season problem, and it should be a fucking problem. So no one should be going to the line 14 fucking times. That's insane.
Don't be salty that your team sucks.
Hey, when was the last time you saw a championship?
And that nobody on your team is able to do that.
All right, but when was the last time you saw a championship?
I haven't seen
Exactly, one. So shut the fuck up.
Okay.
I've seen every single championship.
Good for you, you piece of shit. Moving on, let's go to my better sport.
Is it though?
No, I mean, not fan-wise, but at least wise and enjoyment-wise, yeah.
All right, so obviously Florida versus Edmonton, the rematch of last year. Which, don't get me wrong, our predictions for the before, if we go back, it is not even close.
No, it's not even close.
Not even fucking close. I don't think we got it. I actually think you got Dallas going to the conference, right? So I'm pretty sure you said that.
I think I had Dallas versus LA.
Yeah, let's just say that didn't happen. But I think I didn't have any. I was horrible. I started off very promising in the East, and then went.
No, this has been a phenomenal final so far. I think it's what everybody expected. We kind of saw this happening once you got into the conference finals. Panthers were definitely the better team than the Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs just did their all-time collapse. It was the Maple Leafs, right?
No, it was Carolina.
Carolina. You're 100% correct. They beat this. They still beat the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, they
But
beat the Maple Leafs.
yeah, we saw Carolina. I called this one too, by the way. Carolina was not that good, and it showed. They beat the Capitals, who also weren't that great, right? They had a great player. They finished the President's Trophy, but just because you win a President's Trophy does not mean you are the best team in the NHL. Remember that, everybody. Remember that. I know it firsthand experience from last year. The Panthers were just the better team coming out of the East. As soon as they beat the Lightning in the first round, not only beat the Lightning, beat the living shit out of the Lightning, you had that feeling. Same thing with Edmonton. These first round matchups kind of set us up on this collision course, right? A lot of people thought the Kings were going to oust the Oilers in the first round. Didn't happen, didn't even come close. A lot of people thought, the Lightning were going to oust the Panthers in the first round. Didn't even come close, right? These two teams proved that they are just the two best teams in the NHL. They really are. And it showed the first two games of the series, both going to overtime, both splitting in overtime, both phenomenal games, by the way. And then game 3, the Panthers took out their big schlong and slapped it across the Oilers' forehead. And it was impressive to watch. The Panthers have such a good Stanley Cup experienced team from top to bottom, mind you. I mean, it really is astounding to watch. You could talk about the Oilers, Derek. I'm going to talk briefly just about how fucking good the Panthers are, right? In the postseason alone, Sam Bennett has 20 points. 14 goals, Derek. 14 goals.
He's playing phenomenal.
Unbelievable. Connor Verhaeghe, 19 points. Brad Marchand, which, by the way, may be the trade of the century. 18 points in these playoffs, including the overtime winner in Game 2. Matthew Tkachuk obviously being solid. Alexander Barkov being one of the best captains and centers in the league. Not to mention their defense, which has been outstanding. Aaron Ekblad showing he may be one of the best defensive players in the league. Nico Mikkola, who's been great. Seth Jones, by the way, another trade that they made from the Chicago Blackhawks, proving to be unbelievably successful. It's really astounding, and you got to give props to the front office, not only for building these guys up, right? Some of them are homegrown, but then going out and getting all of these others and putting together the perfect team, right? They traded for Tkachuk 2-3 years ago. That was the start of something beautiful for them, right? I mean, Sam Reinhart from Buffalo, how could you let this guy go? It makes no sense. There's just been outstanding moves, and it should be studied by every single NHL general manager, Chris Drury of the New York Rangers, on how to build a correct team. They have just been astounding to watch. They deserved it the last year, more than deserved it, and I think they deserve it again this year.
I think that's fair to say. They have been playing phenomenal. I did say, which is crazy to say, in both of the matchups that we disagreed on in the start, like when we predicted, it was the LA Kings versus Edmonton. I said Edmonton, you said LA. You said Tampa, I said Florida. Because Florida is a very, very good team. Very good team. Coached well, championship DNA, Marchand, Reinhart. The list goes on. I'm not going to repeat it. But then on the west side, the high-powered lines with Edmonton, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, fucking that I don't want to talk. There's a lot of people who are playing very well on that team, and they went through. I feel like in my eyes, Edmonton went through the harder way through the Western. Yeah, they had to go through hell. While on the other side, Florida had to beat game they versus Tampa.
Then the Maple Leafs, then Carolina. Still tough, but definitely a little bit weaker than the West, to your point.
Yeah. So with LA, then I believe after LA they had Vegas, and then after Vegas, who else did they have?
Dallas.
Yeah. which is all great teams. The West has always been stacked. But in this series, game 1, overtime. Game 2, overtime. That cannot be unforgotten. The one thing I will say before I even go into these games is already doing way better than the NBA. I'm already so excited to watch the next game of the NHL Stanley Cup than the NBA Finals, which is very good for the NHL. But in game 1, McDavid had his highlight reel to where he made probably one of the most insane shots I've ever seen in my life. To where he pretty much crossed someone over, brought it to the other side, and then scored. Beautiful shot. And then him and Draisaitl connecting. Obviously, they're always going to be like that. They're like the 1-2 punch in the NHL. They're playing very well. But there's one problem with this team, which concurred in the last game last night. The score was 6-1 in favor of the Florida Panthers, which led to a fight in the closing minutes of the game.
Which, by the way, the Panthers went 5 for 5 on the ice. All 5 of their fights, they won.
I know. Yeah, they murdered them. They absolutely murdered them.
The Oilers are not a fighting. This is literally. You can't go into somebody's championship DNA. The Panthers' championship DNA is forechecking, toughness, and we're going to absolutely outwork you. That is the complete opposite of what the Edmonton Oilers do. Their DNA is speed and agility.
Nothing more, nothing less.
So while I get it, right, you're down 6-1, you trying to get a spark for game 4, I understand, right? You want to go after some players, you want to be a little dirty, that makes sense. However, you do have to know your opponent. You're still going to be in Florida next game. The crowd is going to be absolutely electric. Not only did their team just beat the shit out of you, both scoreboard-wise and physically-wise. It may not have been the most ideal situation. That could have been for something that you do in game 4, right? Right to start off the game.
Yeah.
Drop the send out a fucking goon and drop the gloves with somebody. Try to get your team riled. Yeah, try to get your team riled up. That's something you do prior to a game to get your team riled, not at a 6-1 game in the playoffs when the crowd is behind them and you just got the living shit kicked out of you on all 5 guys.
Yeah. You're 100% right. It's just when I saw that fight last night, I was dying laughter. It was the most, because I believe it was the whole line. It was the entire.
Yep.
That which is I find is fucking amazing. Who doesn't like fights in hockey?
Not to mention fights in hockey, but in the biggest stage, the Stanley Cup Final. I mean, how can you get better than that?
You actually can't. Which is like why them. This is what. Just like me segueing, going back into NBA a little bit. The Four Nations tournament helped out the NHL so massively this playoffs.
Yep.
And now everyone's tuning in. I feel like the viewership in the NHL is way higher than, if you look back from this year to last year, it's way higher than what it was last year.
We'll definitely have all the numbers come the playoffs end, but I would agree with you, right? Especially and this is no slight to the two teams, we already talked about this, but when you have an OKC Indiana final in the NBA, right? That's going to turn viewers away, and they're going to start flipping their channels, and they're going to see on TNT just an absolute brawl happening in the Stanley Cup final. They're going to be more inclined to tune into that, especially, not to mention, you have the Canadian fans all in on it because Canadian teams have not won in 25 plus years, and you have the best player in the NHL playing in it once again in Connor McDavid. So all of these factors combined, this is the perfect storm for the NHL, right? To gain viewership, to gain market share over the NBA that has always had a cloud over their head. It's good to see. I have a question for you, Derek.
I probably have an answer.
So he's young. I get it. He's going into a contract year next year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 2-part question.
Okay.
1, is this series a legacy series for Connor McDavid? Does he have to will his team back and win this Stanley Cup?
I think he does, purely based off of, because when you hear about Connor McDavid, he's compared to the greatest players of all time. Everyone, he's compared to Gretzky, Crosby, even the people like Matthews. He's up there. He's a very good player. To where he lost the Stanley Cup last year in Game 7. But if you look back in the day when this is the reason how I'm like, this is why I'm saying it's a legacy game. Wayne Gretzky, he lost his first Stanley Cup. Against the same team the next year, he won. Sidney Crosby did the same exact thing. So what most NHL fans in Edmonton will probably be expecting is that storyline recreating. That's why I think it's a legacy game, purely based off of all the greats who he's compared to have done the exact same thing he's in the scenario of doing.
Yep. So it's crazy to think, right? We talked about Sam Bennett on the other side, having a phenomenal playoffs, 14 goals, 20 points. McDavid's at 31 points, which is even crazier. He has 25 assists, only 6 goals, which is a little low for him, right? I get he's assisting a lot. He's passing to Draisaitl. He's passing to a plethora of teammates, Evan Bouchard, Cora Perry, R&H, for anybody who doesn't know, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Evander Kane. The list goes on, right? He's passing and he's really facilitating the puck well. However, when you are this caliber of a player, when you're this great of a player, you can ask all the greats. You can ask Mark Messier. You can ask Wayne Gretzky. You can ask Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr. You can put them in the conversation now as well. Alexander Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby. There comes a point where you got to take it a little bit into your own hands. I get you're one of the best assist men in the NHL because you probably are. However, you're one of the best goal scorers in the NHL too, and your team needs you now more than ever. This is a legacy series because you are already considered one of the best players in the NHL history. You have to go out there and win a cup. No ifs, ands, or buts, especially to your point, Derek, after losing last year.
And against the same team. It's your revenge series.
Same team. Love it. Follow-up question, segueing into it. I mentioned it a little bit previous. He is going into a contract year next year. Draisaitl is already locked up for the next 7 years, right? He just signed an extension this past offseason. So he's good. This is a two-part question. First part, keep it simple, yes or no. If they lose the Stanley Cup, do you think it affects him leaving or going? Or does he wait to determine next year because there's still going to be a very good team next year?
I say wait to determine next year.
Okay. Second part, right? In what world, in your mind, Derek, do you think he packs up and leaves Edmonton? Where he's going to get the money is no object. Years are no object. There are 32 NHL teams who are going to be willing to offer him the world. What do you think would be able to lure him away from re-signing in Edmonton?
What will be able to lure him, or will he be able to?
What factors would you foresee in making him want to leave, or if in other teams luring him away?
Okay, so this is probably one thing because it's always been a problem with Edmonton. If I'm McDavid, this is how I see it, and it's a huge thing. If Edmonton doesn't get a good goalie, an actually seemingly good goalie, then I would consider leaving. Because this goalie's they've always had a shitty goalie. I don't remember the last time I've seen Edmonton have a good goalie. And they have a good team. This is the time to where if you have a good goalie, you could go against the best of them.
Yep.
But this is the only scenario I say of him leaving. This season, series ends, they lose. They lose in either 6 or they lose in 5. They go on to the next season. They go into the offseason. They don't get a goalie. Then they see coming towards the trade deadline, there's no traction of getting a goalie. The only scenario I see is them potentially trading him.
This guy is fucking stupid!
And he would be going. I see the reason. Listen to me. The reason why he could get. Why would you. All right. If you're a GM, right?
I get it. I know what you're about to say, and you can explain it.
Why would you give up one of the best players in the league? Just let him go and get paid. Instead, you could get a plethora of fucking players.
I understand that from a business standpoint, right? On the flip side of it, how can you justify to the fans? How can you justify to the owner in trading away the best player, potentially of all time?
You can't justify it. Unfortunately, you can't. It's at the end of the day. The reason why I'm saying I wouldn't say he would get. It's because of him. He would want to leave.
They shouldn't even be considering that as an option right now. So from what I gather, because he's going into his final contract year, right? Don't quote me on this. I would have to look it up to just clarify a lot of things. But NHL teams, when a player is going into their contract year, are able to offer an extension in that contract year of August of that offseason onward. So regardless, however the Stanley Cup final ends, they're going to offer him the world before anybody else can heading into next year. Now you will have a good indication of how things are going to go, right? Maybe does McDavid accept it? Say, fuck it, this is where I want to be for the next 8 to 10 years. Give me your offer. Give me the bag. I'm here. Let's win a cup. Or
he declines.
Does McDavid say, I'm good. I'm going to wait till the offseason, see how this season goes, and field offers. Now, that would scare me shitless as a general manager. You have home field advantage because you can offer him a contract when nobody else can. And you have history on your side, right? Wayne Gretzky played for Edmonton. Mark Messier played for Edmonton. They won 4 Stanley Cups. This is the dream. You win a Stanley Cup here, McDavid, you are immediately another god in this city. They're going to put a statue of you out front next to Gretzky. So you have all of these lore factors into it. I think a lot is going to be determined by this offseason, right? Is McDavid willing to? I'd love to. It's one of the many questions that will never get answered, but I'd love to know what's in McDavid's mind right now.
Well, first of all, right now it's in his mind is winning the fucking Stanley Cup.
Of course. I'm talking about this offseason. And to your point, things can change, right? Depending on whether they win or lose the Stanley Cup.
Which obviously it's not. It's 2-1. It's not even close to being over.
Not even close.
This obviously it's a lot to think about. Like for example, McDavid, the GM, because if you're for example. That's going back to like the business perspective. If he declines, right, and you see, all right, we're not doing that good this season, there's a high possibility he doesn't stay. He leaves.
I can counteract that just by a couple. One, there's no way in hell they would not be doing good next season.
You never know. You never know.
You're never not going to be a playoff team with McDavid and Draisaitl on the same team. You're just not.
What if one of them gets hurt?
You're putting in a lot of ifs now. Like, if both of them are healthy, there's no way in hell you're not only gonna compete for the playoffs, but compete for the final.
That's fair.
So, even if this is where GMs have one of the toughest jobs in sports, right? Even if he straight out comes up to you as the general manager of the Oilers and says, "I'm not re-signing," I'm going to do the complete opposite of what you just said, Derek. I'm not going to trade him. I'm going to trade every pick I have in order to win a Stanley Cup then next year. I'm going to give it one last hurrah, build the best physical team I can build around McDavid, because you're never going to be able to replace McDavid.
I have one thing to say. And the reason why I'm going to say this is because they've done it before. For all we know, for example, going back to Wayne Gretzky, after they won the Stanley Cup, they traded him.
After 4.
All right, no. But you just recently won a Stanley Cup, and you broke apart one of the best players at Santatella. Which let me speak. I'm just saying, it's not like they haven't like given away one of the best players on their team before.
I get it. Very different circumstances. Messier left, right? He went to the Rangers, and Gretzky was getting older. After you just won multiple Stanley Cups. Totally different situation.
I mean, it's not, because Gretzky was still averaging, 100 plus points a year?
Sure, but at that point towards the end, he was going to be the only one on the team. Edmonton knew. It's a whole different ball game. These guys are still in their prime. And the biggest factor here is they have not won a Stanley Cup yet.
Which is sad. It's very
Connor
sad.
McDavid is only 28 years old. He's got a hell of a lot more hockey left in him. He's not even halfway through his career. God willing, knock on wood, injuries, right? I hope to see him for another 10 to 15 years. And hopefully we will. So it's completely different situation. If in this offseason, by some stretch of an imagination, McDavid says, I'm not coming back, and I'm the general manager, I'm selling every asset we have in order to build the best team physically possible to win a Stanley Cup next year.
Yeah.
Because in the aggregate, even if you sell McDavid for all these picks and all these pieces, you will never, ever replace McDavid.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
You physically can. He's the best player in.
He's the best player in the league. He is. There are players that can size up.
I think there's the top three is like there.
Look, there's a top 5 consensus around the league, right? Draisaitl, McKinnon, Austin Matthews, right? These are great players.
I know Austin Matthews is not in my top 5. I'm sorry, he's just not.
He is. Whether you want to admit it or not, he is, right? But McDavid is leagues ahead. You put McDavid on any NHL team right now, they are a playoff team.
You put him on the Rangers, Stanley Cups. See, smile.
Do you want me to predict that he's gonna not re-sign and then he's gonna pull a Messier and come to the New York Rangers, baby?
Oh my God!
You
would die.
Because I will
die.
Not to mention, yes, sure. If and when he wins a Stanley Cup in Edmonton, he will become a god in that city. If he ever went to New York like Messier and won a Stanley Cup, he is immediately maybe the greatest New York player of all time.
He's the mayor of New York. They're gonna make him the fucking mayor.
Beyond the mayor, just give him the keys, shut down the bridges. He can just live in New York as a whole, the only person populated on the entire island.
Everyone has to travel to the games. He could just walk right to the stadium.
It would be beyond that, yeah. That he would be God beyond God in the NHL hockey world. But we're getting off topic. I did not want to speak about the Rangers. They're not even close to coming into the playoffs right now. They're in a complete half rebuild. Don't piss me off, Derek. That being said, we both predicted the NBA. I'd like you to your prediction, Derek, on how the rest of the series goes. We're up 2-1 on Florida over Edmonton right now.
I'm gonna go in 7 games. Connor McDavid capture this first Stanley Cup.
Okay, and I am gonna go Florida in 6.
Okay, that's fair.
I think they're going to win Game 4, go up 3-1, go back to Edmonton, lose, come back to Florida, win at home.
That's fair. It's I can't argue with your reasoning because Florida's they're both great teams.
They are.
It's just for this perspective, I'm in hopes that Edmonton wins this next game. If they don't win this next game, it's going to be shitty. It's going to be tough.
Battle. Just like it was last year, that Edmonton went down 3-0 and they put themselves in a bind, right? To win 4 in a row is crazy. And then the following year, if you lose next game, to have to win 3 in a row, it's not a success for win. It's not a recipe for winning.
No. They might have to put both their goalies in net to maybe have a chance at that point.
They may have to put McDavid in net. Just put him in net, and every once in a while, just let him skate out, be a 6-on-5.
That's the craziest idea I've ever heard in my life. McDavid in net, saving a shot, then taking it out, breaking everyone's ankles, and scoring. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But overall, very, very, very happy with the NHL playoffs. Or in general, and in the NHL Stanley Cup. It's a very good series. If you're not watching it, fucking watch it. Get off your ass, turn on the TV, and watch some NHL.
I could not agree more with you, Derek. I do have to bring up one quick thing before we get to our favorite segment, Derek.
Mm-hmm.
Are you prepared?
A little bit.
Beautiful. I'm going to go into the MLB world.
Yeah.
I have one question for you that I think is on the top of everybody's mind, right? I think it's pretty safe to say who the best player in the major leagues is. I don't have to say his name. You don't even have to say his name.
No.
My question, fuck MVPs. He's a lock. My question to you, Derek, is the last person in Major League Baseball history to hit 400 in a season was Ted Williams. Almost, what are we at, 80, 90 years ago at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Does Aaron Judge have a legitimate shot to finish the year at 400?
Correct me if I'm wrong. He's batting .394, right?
Tonight's game is still going on. He hit a home run that almost left Kauffman Park in Kansas City.
I'm pretty sure it did. It was 49.
It was. He is now batting .395.
Oh, I was very close. I think it's very possible. I think he actually will be able to do it. I think if he's able to do it, it wouldn't be like 410, 415. I think it'll be like 401, 402. What do you think?
It's so tough, right? When you look at so many different statistics, right? This guy is batting, like we just said, .395. He now has 24 homers. He now has 56, 57 RBIs after tonight, and tonight's game is still going on, by the way. But it's the other statistics that are just even more ridiculous, right? Has a 1.26 OPS. That's not touching areas since Barry Bonds, by the way, for anybody who's keeping track out there. So that's just ridiculous in itself. He has, I want to make sure I get this right because it is absolutely ridiculous. He has a 493 on base percentage. He is getting on base almost half the times he goes up at bat.
That's insane.
That's
actually insane.
His slugging is 770. For anybody who doesn't know how ridiculous that is, right? He hit 58 home runs last year and 62 home runs in 2022. His highest slugging ever was 701. Right now, he's slugging 770. He is otherworldly.
Yeah.
So to answer the question, can he hit 400? Yes. Yes, he can. Is it difficult? Absolutely. I mean, as the season goes on and progresses and games become bigger, pitchers are going to start pitching around him even more than they are now, right? So the amount of hits, the amount of good pitches that he's going to see are going to be slim. So he's going to have to continue to capitalize on those pitches, and it's just going to make each at bat a little bit more pressurized in terms of batting average. Not on base. He's still going to walk a fuck ton. He's still going to be on base almost half the time. But when it comes to batting average, the pitches that he sees are good are going to become scarce. It's just a tough world to do it, right? Not to mention, God forbid, injury, maybe he goes into a little slump, a 10-game slump that could bring his average down 10 points. There's so many factors. However, I do think he's the closest player we've seen in maybe the last 30, 40 years who can do it.
And this is what's so shocking to me, is obviously Ted Williams, correct me if I'm wrong, he was a first baseman. I was completely wrong. I think he was an outfielder.
He was an outfielder for the
right
Boston.
field?
I'm going to just pull up the exact date by the exact year that he batted 400 so I can have this at least perfect. He batted 406 in 1941. So yes, we are coming up on if my math 74. Is correct, 85 years. 85 years.
84, 85.
85, yeah. So that's how crazy of an accomplishment and a milestone this would be for anybody ever, let alone, Judge to do this, who's 6'6", and he's not only that, he's a home run guy. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
When you look at Ted Williams, like his stats, like I don't think he was a big home run guy back in the day. He was not. Compared to what Aaron Judge is doing, he's hitting like they're at 24 home runs, and we're not at All-Star break. All-Star break is not until fucking July. Yep. Let's just get that. He could potentially have 34 home runs, potentially, by All-Star break, and that's halfway to beat, and that's only halfway to beating his record of six. What was it? 68 he hit?
63. 62.
62. But 68 will be insane. That's halfway through the season. He's on pace to have like 68 home runs.
It's unbelievable. It really is. And all the stats that I read, and I do want to, not to change course to Ted Williams just really quick, which is a crazy statistic what I'm about to say that not a lot of people know, right? In 1941, when Ted Williams hit 406, there's actually a funny story about it. The coach told him the last like 3 games, you don't have to play. He was at like 402, and he said, I'm going to play, and he upped his average to 406.
Insane. On
top of that, he did not win the MVP that year.
Who won MVP instead of him?
Joe DiMaggio, because that was the same year DiMaggio had his 56-game hitting streak.
Oh. That's tragic.
That's a good trivia question for everybody out there, by the way. That is how insane that year was, but it's even more insane now when you think about it. If anybody even comes close to 400, they're getting the MVP.
Oh yeah, 100%. Locked. Unanimous.
Which is where we're at baseball-wise now, where averages have continued to plummet year in and year out because pitchers are getting better and better.
Yeah.
Which is what's making Aaron Judge's feat even more impressive.
But the thing is, like, if Aaron Judge, he's all like these past 2 years, I believe, he's been batting pretty good.
He has been.
I believe last year, what did he bat? 341?
I can pull up all of his stats. He's consistently gotten better, which is the scary part.
Yes, which is actually insane.
His batting averages have gone, so in 2021, he batted 287. In 2022, when he had the 62 home runs, he batted 311. And then last year, when he won the MVP as well, when he had 58 homers, he batted 322. So he's literally getting better.
As he gets older, he gets better.
It's astonishing. He's becoming more disciplined at the plate. He's hitting more balls within the zone. If you throw him anything in the zone, it's a mistake.
Yeah.
It's astonishing what he's been able to do, and it's coming to the point where you can make the argument he's the best player that we've seen in our lifetime, right? Trout was probably before that. Unfortunately, he's been derailed via injuries. Before that, it was Bonds, maybe A-Rod, but like Judge is just otherworldly right now.
Okay, this might be a too early question to ask you, but it's involving Aaron Judge. Do you think Aaron Judge, by the end of his career, can break the home run record? The total home run record? No?
It's unfortunate, but there's a reason for it. He started too late. Not a lot of people realize this. Judge is already 33. So he didn't start in the majors until he was 24, which is late for a rookie prospect, right? He was very raw coming out of college, so he spent quite a bit of time in the minors. So by the time he came up, he was already 24 years old. And what he's been able to do in that time is astonishing, right? Just in 10 years, he has 338 homers. If he was able to start all of this at the age of like 20, 19, at the pace that he's going, health-wise, let's just assume he stays healthy the rest of his career, absolutely. Absolutely, he could have came close. Do I still think he has a chance to hit 600? Yeah, big time. I think he has a very realistic chance to pass. I don't want to say that. He has a very realistic chance to hit 600, 650 home runs health-wise. If he stays healthy, he can absolutely do it. He's hitting 40. He's hitting 40 home runs like it's nothing.
Yeah, he might. Last year or the year he hit 62, people thought he was going to hit fucking 40 by half the year.
It's amazing, right? This guy has hit. He's hit 50 home runs over. He's hit 50 home runs 3 times in his career already, and this year, God willing, it's going to be number 4. That's astonishing. That's 200 home runs, and that's estimating, by the way. The 62, he's above that. That's 200 home runs in just 4 years of playing.
Yeah. Hey, one word: fuck you, Ohtani.
Yeah, that little. Sorry, you can cut that out. Yeah, but that was my question, Derek, that I wanted to bring up to you. Is it time?
Yeah, it is time. That was a great question and segue into our favorite segment.
Baller of the week.
Yeah, and not any of that stayed in, but it sounded pretty good from the start. It was very good, very good.
Good, I'm glad. Derek, would you like to start us off?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
So my baller of the week, it's not really like it wasn't like a crazy thing to happen, but it was a big moment for this person. So obviously, WWE is going on. There was Money in the Bank on Saturday. It was a big event. There was a man named R-Truth who he reportedly got released and or fired. I don't know what WWE is doing with him. He was a massive John Cena fan growing up. Huge John Cena fan growing up. And he versed him in a main event. I believe it was 2 Saturdays before that, and he lost. John Cena pretty much murdered him. It was bad. Then after that, he went to the release, and then everyone thought he was gone. He was never coming back.
Yep.
Comes in during the match, during the tag team match with, mind you, Logan Paul and John Cena teaming up. By the way, any like young kids who like watch Logan Paul on YouTube, that's the most insane thing in the fucking world. Logan Paul and John Cena versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, and then for Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso to win the match, it was because R-Truth came in, hit John Cena, his childhood idol, with the belt, and then the entire crowd of Los Angeles fucking erupted. Like, I saw my screen shake when I saw the fucking thing happen. It was insane. And it was cool to see, for even if he's retiring or if he got released, the WWE showing like their respect, even though it wasn't the best, showing their respect to him as a wrestler.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. Ron Killings is his real name, I believe.
Yeah, Ron Killings.
Yep. So congratulations to him. I guess he's had a good career. Fans were obviously outraged that he was released. So nice to see that the WWE at least does listen to fans every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I want to get into my ball of the week.
Yeah, I was expecting this. I know it's this.
Mine is going to be a whole little mini segment, by the way.
Oh, brother.
Not really. It's only going to be 2 minutes long, so don't stress out there, everybody. I wanted to talk about Roland Garros, which for anybody who doesn't know is the French Open. For anybody who doesn't know what the hell that is one of the 4 majors in France within tennis. We just had a great French Open. For anybody who didn't watch, you should. On the women's side, Coco Gauff, shout out to her, first American in a decade since Serena Williams to win the French Open. Huge feat, beating the number 1 in the world. So that's awesome to see, to win the French Open. But the match that I wanted to talk about, Carlos Alcaraz versus Jannik Sinner, a match for the ages, one of the greatest tennis matches I have ever seen. 5 hours and 29 minutes long. Second longest final in the Open era, which has been going on for like 30 years, right? So, tremendous match. My ball of the week is Carlos Alcaraz coming back. So, for anybody who doesn't know tennis, the championships on the men's side is best out of 5 sets. So, you have to win 3 out of 5. He was down 2 sets. He was down 2 games, 5-3. Each game goes to 6. And he was down within that game 40-0, which is 3 points. Jannik Sinner had 3 championship points to win the match, and Carlos won all 5. Carlos came down from that to win a tiebreak in that set, to force it to a 5th set, to then also win a tiebreak in the 5th set to win his back-to-back Roland Garros championships, which, by the way, is his 5th major championship win at the age of 23. The only other person who has done it more times before him than him, Rafael Nadal, who is also a Spaniard, who is one of the greatest of all time. The parallels are insane. Wanted to give a big shout out to my ball of the week, Carlos Alcaraz, for not only withstanding Sinner, who is the number one in the world, by the way, but potentially having one of the biggest comebacks in tennis history.
Yeah, that was my one thing I want to say. That was my first ever full tennis match I watched. Yep. It was actually entertaining. I was actually entertained for the entire match. Him coming back in the match to win. It was just absolutely insane. And I did not know he was that fucking young. I did not know he's 23 years old.
Sinner is 24 years old. But you got to look at it this way. My bad. Scratch that. Sinner's 23 years old. Carlos is only 22 years old.
Holy shit.
These two, we're in a very good stage of tennis, everybody, so don't you worry, right? We had Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, they retired. We still had Djokovic. Djokovic is now 38 years old. He's coming towards the end. But tennis is in a good state. Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz, we're going to have these two battling it out for the next 10 to 15 years. They are unbelievable at only 23 and 22 years old.
Did you see the Ben Shelton versus was it Alcaraz he versed?
He played Alcaraz. He did win a set. I give him props. For anybody who doesn't know, Ben Shelton, who Derek just mentioned, is a U.S. young tennis player. I believe he's 24 years old.
I think he's 23. I believe.
I'm so bad with ages. He is 22 years old, which is even better for us, by the way. He is going to be into the top 10 in men's tennis very shortly. If not after this tournament, it'll probably be after the next tournament. He is the best U.S. men's player as of right now. He is our best chance at winning something in the near future.
Yes.
He is the only one who can even compare to Carlos Alcaraz and to Jannik Sinner. We do have some good men's players, right? Tommy Paul, Francis Tiafoe, Taylor Fritz, but they don't even come close to Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. Ben Shelton is showing a lot of promise. He's got a very fast serve, topping out at 140 miles per hour, which is one of the best.
That's fucking insane.
He's a little bit raw on the court, but he is going to be our best chance the next couple of years going against these absolute Goliaths. So I wish him nothing but the best as well, and hopefully we get to see an American man win a championship sometime soon, because the last one, if I'm not mistaken, was 2000.
Oh, God.
I think it was last U.S. man to win major. Yep, Andy Roderick in 2003.
Hey, that was when I was born.
Yep, so it's been 20 plus years.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's been 20 plus years.
Oh my God. When you really think about it, the year Ben Shelton was born is the last time they won.
Correct.
That's diabolical. All right, well, let's get away from USA sadness for a bit, and we're going to close out this podcast. One thing I do want to say is we are talking about this next week, because this is a big event that's coming, is the U.S. Open for golf. It is being played in Oakmont, PA, which is one of the hardest golf courses in the world. Like many of people have broken clubs, thrown in water. This is the worst course. The rough is like this high, and that ball. If you go in the rough, that ball's lost.
Let's go, Scotty Scheffler.
He's probably gonna win. Oh, the favors, I think it's Scotty Scheffler, DeChambeau, and then I don't know who else after that. But
it's probably Rory.
Yeah, but everyone tune into it. It's going to be entertaining. It's on CBS. It's on Paramount. Have fun watching it. It's golf. It's not that crazy, but some of the moments, like maybe a hole in one, you might catch or something like that.
And on top of that, if I predict who wins the U.S. Open and Derek loses, because I don't watch golf that much, right? We're going to have Derek do a wet t-shirt contest live.
Sure. Sure. Who do you think? Wait, we didn't even say. Who do you think's going to win?
I need time to,
So this is going to go. All right, this is going to go on behind the scenes.
I need time to look into the data, sir. We'll discuss who we think is going to win next week.
Okay. Wait, dude, it's happening this week. It's happening this Saturday.
Oh, it's happening this weekend?
Yes, it's this weekend.
Starting on Thursday?
Yeah, it starts on Thursday and ends on Sunday.
Fuck. All right, wait, give me 1 second.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I need to know now.
Shit, I didn't know it was fucking happen. I thought it was gonna happen next. See, I don't know golf. You little fuck. Fuck you, Derek.
Fuck you, dude.
Fuck me. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Who are you picking? You can pick whoever you want. You know more than me.
I'm picking DeChambeau. He won last year. He won last year.
Fuck it. Yeah. All right. My prediction, I'm going to go Xander Schauffele to win it this year.
All right.
Book it, bitches.
He doesn't make the cut after the first round. I'll fucking dial after.
If he doesn't make the cut after the first round, I'll do next week's podcast without a shirt on.
Okay, that's fair. All right.
If he doesn't make the cut. If he doesn't make the cut.
Yeah, if he doesn't make the cut.
And I'm sure everybody heard, but Derek is taking Bryson to go back to back.
Yeah, I hope so. He's one of my favorite golfers out right now, obviously. But, obviously, like, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. We're back. We'll be back next week after our hiatus. We took our hiatus, and we're not doing that shit again. At least I'm not doing that shit again. I need this podcast. It makes me happy a little bit. But, like, subscribe, follow on Instagram, follow on Twitter. TikToks will be posted. The editor will be getting pushed to make TikToks. But, obviously, hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.